Today's video is somewhat of a PSA about why you should never log into an Android TV device using a Google account that contains anything sensitive. And that's because by signing into one of these devices with a Google account, anyone with access to the device can not only access things that you'd expect, such as YouTube or the Play Store and recommendations and things like that, but they can also access basically anything about your Google account. And that includes email through Gmail, files through Google Drive, or even services where you've signed in through Google into an external service. And it's not very clear that this is possible. So in this video, we'll talk about that and demonstrate it. We'll set up this Android TV device, sign in with a Google account when prompted, and I'll demonstrate how easy it is for someone with access to that device to access your email, Google Drive, and other services. So let's talk about it. So for this video, we'll be demonstrating using this Nokia streaming box. This is a Nokia streaming box 8000, just because it's easier to film with an actual set-top box rather than trying to film a TV. But as far as I'm aware, this will apply to most Android TV boxes, if not all of them, and also TVs with built-in Android TV. There's also devices that support Google TV, which is a slightly different take on Android TV. This includes some TVs and also the new Google Chromecasts. I don't know about those, but I suspect it may be similar because Google TV just seems to be a skin on top of Android TV. Underneath it's still Android. And realistically, this is because of the way that Android works, and it's just a side effect of these devices running Android. It's not a bad thing about these devices. It doesn't mean that these devices are flawed and you should never buy them. But it's just something very important to bear in mind, and why when you're setting these up, you should almost always use a disposable throwaway Google account and not your main important Google account. So yeah, we're going to be using this Nokia device here, Nokia Streaming Box 8000. It's a pretty neat little device. I'm not reviewing it in this video, but it seems pretty decent. And it's one of the cheapest 4K capable Android TV boxes that's reputable, because this is an official certified official Android TV box. It's not one of those off-brand ones that come loaded with malware, and it runs the full Android TV experience, not just generic Android. So that's it there. And as you can see, the device is completely brand new in box. And that's because I want to demonstrate this with a completely clean, brand new device. So you can see that I've done the initial setup on camera, you can see the setup process that I went through, and then see what's possible. Just so you can see there's no sort of behind-the-scenes trickery here. So yeah, that's the box there. So what we'll do is I'll get this all set up, get it connected to the display. We'll perform the initial setup on camera so you can see how I set this device up, and then we'll see what's possible once you've got access to one of these devices. Okay, so now I have the box set up. I'm just connecting it to this lap dock. Made a video about this previously. Essentially, it's a portable monitor with built-in keyboard and touchpad. It's great for setting things up, so I'm just using this as a monitor for now to display the output of the device. So it's connected to that over HDMI and network over Ethernet, just to save having to connect this to Wi-Fi. So what I'll do is I'll plug in the power and get this started up. So plug the power cable in, let that boot up. And while that's booting up, let's talk about why this is such an issue. Because of course, you sign into phones and all sorts of other Android devices with a Google account. So why is it an issue when it comes to Android TV and Android TV set-top boxes? Well, the difference between a set-top box or TV and a phone is that with the latter devices... Sorry, I quite like how this plays the old Nokia tune when it starts up. But anyway, the difference between an Android TV or Android TV set-top box and a phone or a tablet is that your phone and tablet generally have some sort of protection, either a PIN, pattern, biometrics, something like that, that prevents unauthorized users being able to access it. Whereas when it comes to TVs and set-top boxes, you never set that up. Why would you ever do that? So it's playing music right now, I'll just quickly make that quiet. Why would you ever set up a PIN or biometrics on your TV or set-top box? In fact, I don't even know if it's possible. So with a device like this, most people that set this up will log in with their Google account and then have that device sitting in their house or their business, wherever it is, with full access to their Google account, and have it sitting there completely unprotected and leaving it completely unattended. That means that other members of the same household, potentially visitors to an office if one of these is set up there, could easily access it. Likewise, if you were to sell the TV or sell the set-top box, give it away, it gets stolen, whatever happens to it, that device could fall into the wrong hands with your Google account signed in. In fact, as another example, when I travel, sometimes I take a Chromecast with me. So if I'm in a hotel and there's not much good stuff on TV and it's not a very good smart TV, I can plug the Chromecast in and cast better content to the TV. Now for that, I just use a really old first generation Chromecast. So that doesn't run Android TV. But the newer Chromecasts do. So you could potentially have your Chromecast that you're signed into your Google account on, plug into a TV in a hotel, and then just forget to take it with you because it's quite easy to plug it in the back of a TV and kind of forget it's there. And again, if that falls into the wrong hands, it's signed into your Google account. And I'm also thinking of the number of times I've stayed in places where there's either a hotel or some sort of holiday accommodation where there's a TV provided and it's signed into someone else's account because someone's logged in, forgotten to log off, And it would be so easy for someone to sign into their Google account on one of these TVs, completely forget, and have anyone that has access to that TV in the future have full access to their Google account. So that's kind of why this is an issue. Whereas phones and tablets and stuff generally have some sort of protection and it's always with you, TVs and set-top boxes aren't protected and are kind of just passed around like commodity items without really thinking of the security of them. Okay, so it's now turned on so we can pair the remote. This is my second attempt because I read this as press left and home, which also makes the LED blink but doesn't actually pair it. So it's back and home. That's not very clear, but I mean the picture does show it, but I wasn't looking at that. So holding back and home. Remote's now blinking, light's now blinking fast. So in theory, there we go, the remote's now paired. So now we can do the setup process. So pick a language. There we go, it's English UK. Continue with Ethernet, that's fine. And here we go, straight away, the first thing we're asked to do is sign into a Google account. So it's not the sort of thing that's a weird hidden thing that people might optionally sign into your Google account. If you want to set this up, you have to sign into a Google account. And I imagine the vast majority of people will get to this stage, press sign in, and just log in with the same Google account they log into everything else with that also has their Gmail, their Google Drive, and everything inside it. Now, of course, even though I'm demonstrating this on camera, I'm not going to sign into my Google account with this, or any of my main Google accounts. I've got a few. I'm going to sign into a throwaway account, but I'll demonstrate this using a throwaway account. So put the email address in for that. And this is a Google account that I literally have for setting up devices like this, for Google Home devices, Nest devices, devices where I don't really trust them. And therefore it contains absolutely nothing sensitive. It's just used to set these devices up. And that's really what you should do with these, is if you're setting one of these up, set up a throwaway Google account that you only use for devices like this, that you don't care about, that don't contain anything sensitive. And then use other Google accounts for stuff that's actually sensitive. So log into that there. I think that's right. Cool, so I'm going to put the password in, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I'm going to log into the Google account. Term of service, cool, we'll accept that. Just go through all this stuff, and again, do what everyone would do and just accept all the default settings. Realistically, nothing here would actually change that privacy issue of having this account, but I'm just going to do what everyone would do and just accept all the default settings on this just to keep things easy. So just do all this. Accept all this nonsense, so much stuff, just call it that, whatever. That'll do. I'm not going to tell it to install these apps just because that's going to slow it down. We won't use any of these apps for what we're doing here, so I'm just going to tell it not to install that. It won't make a difference, but it just will sit for ages installing those apps when I want to get this thing working. So I'll go through all these. And once I do that, low power sleep mode on. I'll turn it off actually because I don't want that. Remote control setup. I don't really want to set my remote up actually, so I'll skip that. And there we are. Okay, so here we are now in Android TV. It's all working, so we can flick through it all. That's all fine. And if you open up the Play Store, we'll find the Play Store opens up, and I'll be signed into my Google account. So let's open that up here. Give it a little second. And we'll see that I'm already logged into my Google account. So you see in the top right, there's a little G there. That's the first initial of the whatever name that account set up. I think it's like G Home Setup. So that's what that is. So I'm logged into my Google account here. So we're in the Play Store. That works fine. Likewise, if we go into something like YouTube, we should see it'll also automatically log into my Google account, or at least it'll ask me to automatically log in. So there we go. I can add another account, or I can just pick the account I'm signed into the device with. Straight away, there's YouTube, logged into that account. And then if we quit this, and then go into my device settings, we'll be able to see that once again, settings, accounts and sign in, I'm signed into my Google account on the device. So what I'll now do is obviously it's just been set up and I have actually typed my password in at this point in this current session. So what I'll do is I'll physically power down and reboot the device by unplugging it and plugging it back in again. So it's now booting up completely from scratch, having already been set up. So this would be what it would be like having one of these devices out in the wild when you're using it. It's been turned on and off a bunch of times since it was set up, but it is still signed into your Google account. So let's get this booted up and take a look at what we can do. Okay, so we're now cleanly rebooted into the system. So now let's take a look at the issue. This entire issue stems from Google Chrome on Android and how it can automatically sign into Google through the system's local Google account. In the exact same way on an Android phone, if you sign into your phone when you first set it up, open Chrome and try and go to a Google service in the browser, it'll automatically let you log into your Google account without prompting you for a username and password. And this device has that exact same setup. But if you look at the apps, you'll find it doesn't have Google Chrome. In fact, there isn't any web browser installed. And also, if you go into the Play Store, so open up the Play Store here, and then we go here and we say search for Chrome. So CHRO. You'll notice Google Chrome actually isn't on here. You've got Chromecast and stuff, but Chrome isn't actually installed or isn't available. And that's because Google Chrome isn't actually available for Android TV devices, which is why this issue isn't really that well known, because if it had Chrome as a browser and then someone tries to open up Chrome and it immediately tries to sign into their Google services, they're going to be aware of this. But Android TV devices don't natively support Google Chrome. There are other browsers available though. So for example, one that I found that worked quite well for this was called TV Bro, which is a terrible name, but it works. So TV Bro, there it is. So there we go, that's TV Bro. So let's install this browser. So that's now installing. It'll take a while to install because I think it's probably still doing updates in the background because it's a completely new device. So I'll let this install and we'll come back once it's installed and take a look at what we can do. Okay, so that's TV Bro now installed, so let's open up that browser. So if we open that up, and use the new engine, why not? So there we go, we now have a web browser. But as I mentioned, this issue lies with Google Chrome, not just any browser. So for example, if I go here and I say try to go to Gmail, so mail il dot, so mail.google.com, and try and go to Google Mail right now, it'll pull up a login page. So this looks completely fine. And if you're using an Android TV normally and you've maybe got a browser, even one pre-installed, you'll find this and you'll think you're completely safe. But that's only because this isn't Google Chrome. But as I mentioned, you can't get Google Chrome on this. Well, you can't get it from the Play Store, and there isn't a version that works nicely on an Android TV box. But it's still an Android device, so you can still sideload it. So let's talk about that. So, of course, it's not in the Play Store, but we can still install it from an APK file. So, all different ways you get an APK file onto one of these devices. I'm just going to download it from APK Pure, just one of those APK hosting websites. So, let's do that. APK Pure. Like that. Just go there. Accept the Google cookies. Joys of a new device. There we go. Let's go to the APK Pure website, where we can download the APK for Google Chrome from. Now all we need to do is go to the search box. Oh, failed to actually type into it. CHR, there's Chrome. So all we need to do is go Google Chrome. Download Chrome. There it is, download APK. Don't know why I'm showing this in full detail, but there we go. Download the APK, so that's it there. Hit that. And now, once it starts in a second, it's asking to access files, let that happen. And now, it's downloading that Google Chrome APK file. You can see it's installing up here, so we can go along to downloads. That's it downloading. And once this is downloaded, we can install it. So that's that APK now downloaded, so we can highlight that, hit OK. It'll open up the installer. At this point, we'll get prompted because the browser, it doesn't have permission to install apps, which makes sense. But all you need to do is go Settings, allow the browser to install an app, then run the installer again. And this time it will work because I've given the browser permission to install the app. So do you want to install the application? Yep. And that's us now installing Google Chrome on the TV box. And there we go, that's the app now installed. So we press open, that'll open up, and here we have Chrome. And straight away you can see the first thing it asks is, do I want to sign in with my Google account? And it's picking up this Google account from the underlying Android system. But you'll press a button there and it won't do anything, and you'll think, oh, it doesn't work. That's because obviously this is not the Android TV version of Chrome. That doesn't exist. It's a version of Chrome designed for other Android devices such as phones or tablets. So it's not going to work with a remote control. But with this, as you can see, you've got a USB port, so all you need to do is plug in a keyboard and mouse, and you can control it that way. So in a normal situation, you would just plug a keyboard and mouse into this. You could probably get away just with a keyboard, potentially, on its own, or a USB hub, something like that. Because I've got this lap dock here, I'm going to play with it, and I'm going to flip it around, because it's essentially a laptop. Flip it around like that, and then we're going to plug the USB port on that, into the TV box, and that connects its keyboard and touchpad that are built into this up to the TV box. But this could equally be any kind of regular keyboard and mouse, wireless dongle for a keyboard and mouse, whatever you want, as long as you connect the keyboard and mouse into the box. So now with that in there, we now have a mouse. So now I can go to continue as Ghome, which is going to sign into my Google account inside Chrome. Do I want to turn on sync? Yeah, I'll just sync my passwords as well to my TV box as well. You know, all of my passwords that are saved into my Google account. May as well sync that. Now, admittedly, the passwords would be encrypted or should be encrypted, so you'd have to enter the sync passphrase to actually decrypt that, but we're not even going to look at that on camera here. We're just going to take a look at what you can do when a device is signed into a Google account. And imagine that the owner of this device is nowhere to be found. They've left the device, they've given it away, or a bad actor has found the device. The owner is nowhere near. And you'll notice that this, even though I'm the person that logged into the account, I am not going to have to type my password or email address in at any point throughout this. So now we're in a browser. You can see we're signed into my Google account here. So let's try Gmail. So mail.google.com. And look what happens if you go to that. First of all, it asks me to install the app because it sees me on an Android device. It thinks I want Gmail app, which you probably could also sideload, but would say use the web version. Oh look, my Gmail inbox. Now of course this is the mobile site because it thinks it's a phone based on this version of Chrome, but we can just go into here, pick desktop down there, so we can actually load the actual desktop version of Gmail, which for some reason isn't clicking properly, but I can just hopefully use the keyboard to load that. There we go. Time to use latest Gmail. Whatever, let's use latest Gmail. That's loading up. And just like that, here we have my Gmail inbox. Now, of course, this is again a throwaway email account, so there's nothing important in here. But imagine this was your actual main email account. Someone's got hold of your old TV, you've given it away, you've sold it, whatever's happened. Someone's able to go in and access your entire email inbox. And of course, once someone's got access to your email, they could basically access any other account that you have that sends its password resets to this mailbox. So that's pretty bad. Your email is one of the most sensitive things to keep safe, and with this, I can instantly log into my email account without ever being prompted for a password. And of course, it's not just email, so as I mentioned, Google Drive. So instead of that, just go to drive.google.com, up here. Let that load up Google Drive. Here's Google Drive. Now, of course, again, there's not much stuff in here. There's just one document I created for an example, but again, top secret document there. Straight away, pulled up on the TV box without ever being prompted to log in. And then the final risk I mentioned is services where you can sign in with Google. There's absolutely tons of these. I'm sure you've come across them. You've probably used it yourself where you're signing up for a service. It's not a service you really care about. You don't want to deal with another password, so you press that nice little sign in with Google button and it automatically signs you in using your Google account. And that also works too. So an example of that is Reddit. So I've already set up a Reddit account using this Google account. This was all set up on a completely different device. But if I go onto Reddit, I can continue in Chrome. Again, it's going to want me to install the app because it thinks I'm on a phone. I'm going to press here. I'm going to press login/sign up. And as you can see, it straight away detects my Google account. It says continue as Ghome, so it's found my Google account. I just need to click that. Click that again there. Connection succeeded, you'll be redirected. And straight away, I'm now signed in to my Reddit account, or my throwaway Reddit account that uses this Google account, on this device without ever being prompted for a password. So, of course, it's not actually quite scaling on the screen properly, but there you go, it is actually working out actually in this Reddit account, as you can see. So, as you can see, this is a bit of a risk. I don't really need to explain that. So this is really just more a PSA, just to show you this, how easy it is for someone to do this, and why you should never sign into any device like this with an important Google account. Because I imagine for a lot of people, their Google account's their email, it's their Google Drive. In my case, it's my YouTube channel, which is, a very significant thing. That's just a Google account. Now, my YouTube channel is a Google account that I don't use for a lot of other things, so I try and keep it safe. But it would be very easy for me to sign into a device like this with my YouTube channel, Google account, and then someone else gets hold of that device, they'd have access to my YouTube channel, they'd have access to AdSense, all that sort of stuff. So it is a very, very scary risk. So it's just really important to bear in mind that with a device like this, it's not like a normal set-top box. If someone you don't trust has access to the device, they can access everything. And I think that's what makes this so scary. Because, we're all used to signing in sort of set-top box type stuff. And most of the time it's completely safe. If I've got a TV, for example, my Hisense TV, that runs its own sort of proprietary OS, my Skybox, my Apple TV, all of those, if you sign into, say, the YouTube app using a Google account, you're only signing into that single app and only giving that permission to that app to access your account, and only for it to access the minimum required permissions of your account. Whereas with this, because it's an Android device, you're not signing into a single app. You're signing into the entire device and giving it full access to your account. So yeah, hopefully you found this interesting because it is a bit of a scary thing. I wasn't even planning on making this video. I just bought the set-top box just to set it up. And I was just setting it up and suddenly got thinking, I'm signing into a Google account on this. What could I do with that? And then realised that this is entirely possible. So yeah, definitely very scary and just really important to bear in mind. So basically, if you're setting up an Android TV device or really any Android-based device where you need to sign into a Google account and you're not securing that device and protecting it so only you can access it, use a throwaway Google account. Don't use a Google account that contains anything sensitive. So yeah, hopefully you found that interesting or scary, or maybe you're going to be running away right now to log out of any Android TV devices and set up temporary Google accounts and log in with them. But yeah, hopefully that helped. But all that's left to say now is thank you very much for watching.